Hello, welcome to this video on Mindset Mastery. Now we're going to look at two hands today, 6 daily habits that limit your mindset. 6 daily habits. So what are they? What are the 6 habits that we tend to do every day? Right? First one is pride. Foolish pride. So many people got so much foolish pride. You think, I can't do that because I'm worried about what these people are going to think of me. So therefore I must keep my sort of status as a human being. And it's foolishness. Because you need to be able to make mistakes. Not worry about your mistakes. The pride will make, I can't do that. I'm going to mess that up. Do it, mess it up. Who is it? Thomas Edison, who said, it took me 999 times to work out how not to make a light bulb. Did he make the light bulb? That's another question. Conspiracy theorists go mad over that one. But let's say he did, just for argument's sake. It took him 999 times to realise how he couldn't create a light bulb. Then he finally did. So just imagine if you got the pride stopping you from trying to do something and you just don't start. You're never going to learn how to get you into that position that you want to get into. So that pride will stop you. So it's limiting your mindset to allow you to try to get things wrong before you get it right. Make sense? So it's limiting your mindset. It's stopping you from actually getting to where you want to go because you're too full of pride to try something that you're going to fail at first, and then you turn that around and you turn it into a success. So pride is the first limiting mindset. Second one, I've been here. I know everything syndrome. Got to link with pride a little bit. I know everything. So when someone's telling you something you don't know about, you go, yeah. I know that, yeah. You've got no idea what they're talking about. Yeah, I know that. So again, it's like ego kicking in, saying, yeah, I know all about this. I know all about this. So I know everything syndrome will, again, stop you receiving new information to help you grow. Don't forget, this life is all about you and your growth, nothing else. So if you go into that, fall into that I know everything syndrome with your ego and everything's like, look at me, I'm brilliant, full of pride, it's going to limit your mindset. Listen to what other people have to say. Great story on this. There was a village at the bottom of a mountain, and halfway up the mountain there was a wise man who used to live there, who was known as like a very spiritual man. And there was this young boy who kept saying, one day I'm going to go up and visit the wise man and I'm going to get enlightenment from him. I'm going to grow my mind and become more spiritual by visiting him. So the boy came of age, and then one day he said, right, I'm going to do this now. So he went up to the house and he knocked on the door. It was an impeccable house, beautiful house, lovely architecture, nothing fancy, nothing flash, nothing ostentatious about the house, but it was just impeccably looked after. He knocked on the door and this man opened the door. He was impeccably dressed, nothing flash, nothing ostentatious, nothing over the top, just well presented man. And he opened the door and courteously said, hello, how can I help you? And the other man from the village said, I'm looking for the master because I want to learn how to become enlightened. I want to spiritually grow and I want to improve my life. So the man said, okay, come in. So he took him into the house and walked through the house. It was all beautifully laid out. There's all these wonderful elements to the house. Lots of lovely little sculptures and clocks. But nothing, again, flash or ostentatious, just very, very well looked after, and you could feel the energy. He could feel the energy in the house that was just full of love for his environment. So he walked all the way through the house to the back door of the house, and he lets him through the back door of the house and points him around. So you can walk through the garden and go up the alley, go to the front of the house, and then the way back to the village is down the path. And the man who went to visit the master said, well, hang on a minute, I'm looking for the master. I want to be taught enlightenment. I want to be taught the stuff to grow. And the man said, you learn from everyone that you meet. You learn from everyone that you meet. No matter how small you think they are, how big you think they are, wherever you think they are, that's your judgment. But you learn from people all the time. People are like mirrors. We have mirror neurons in the brain that mirror. right? That's why when you smile, someone else usually smiles back at you unless they're in a real terrible state and, oh, I'm never going to smile. So that's what that is, the mirror neurons. So I know everything syndrome can really limit you, but you really got to start to think about getting rid of that as a habit. The third one is judging people before you know them. Now, we talked about that in a previous video. That's a preconception. So we used the analogy of a blonde woman. Let's use a man with a beard. And you've had a terrible time with a man with a beard. He's completely ripped you off, taken all your money. And then another man with a beard who looks much the same, very similar, comes into your life with a beard. You're going to go straight away, have a preconception about him and say, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure whether I'm going to allow him into my life. So what you're doing is you're judging him before you actually know him. It's really important to get that out. Obviously, you're diligent and you're observing the situation, and when it comes to the point where you need to respond in a vigorous manner to say, no, I don't want you here anymore because I can see you're causing trouble, you're in that empowered mindset. You're mastering your mindset to say, no, not having this time. But until that time happens, you obviously keep your boundaries and your barriers up. Most important. There's nothing wrong with that. But you see what happens, and you can see whether it transpires into something that's going to make you a better human being, or whether that relationship is going to actually drag you down. You have the choice then. You have the power to make that choice. Really important. So judging people before you know them, let's get that out of our psyche. The next one, staying in your comfort zone. Your ego will say, you can't do that. You can't do that. Especially when it comes to a more intuitive, spiritual, energetic type lifestyle. We're so trained to say, well, this is woo-woo, and hold on to that. And we just want to stay in our comfort zone. But when you start to let go, you start to experience it, and you go, okay, well, what is in this? What's in it for me? Your jaw starts to drop with the research that's been done, the way actually our minds work. Your jaw drops. Oh my goodness me, I never saw that. And then you become humble because you realize how much you do not know. Because you're staying in your comfort zone, you're stuck in there and you won't let it go. You won't flow with life. You're still stuck. Force. The old way, the way that we've been trained to do and conditioned to do as human beings, which is why we're going round and around and around in the same cycles. What I want is for you to break out of that so your mindset becomes strong. You become a sovereign being. You contact me and go, hey, Peter, I'm with you. Great stuff. That's what I want. Not this stuck in this comfort zone saying, well, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's all woo-woo stuff. Let all of that go. Trust the process. Of course, you're going to be diligent now, and you're going to have integrity so you can move forward. You have no fear of failure. That's coming next. That's one of the next videos coming up. And you're moving forward in life as an intrepid explorer. You're exploring all of this wonderful creation that we have in front of us. It's all amazing. And you're stuck in this little comfort zone going, oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. Let it go. So get rid of that. And then the next one, the next habit is comparing yourself to other people. How many of us do that? You look at some of these big entrepreneurs now and go, how much money they earn? How much money they're worth? And you can see that a lot of that is actually part of the corrupt game that's going on with governments and big business. It's part of the corrupt game, why they're getting richer and richer and richer through all these hardships that everybody else is going through. But no, they're making more money. It's all a corrupt game. So, but comparison is the thief of joy. It kills joy. It actually murders your joy. So if you're comparison, if I were to start, say, as a musician, and I was going to compare myself to James Jamerson, who was like the Motown bass player, and then compare myself to John Paul Jones out of Led Zeppelin, or Paul McCartney out of the Beatles, or John Jack Burnell out of the Stranglers, or any of these wonderful bass players that I used to get inspired by, I would have given up there and then. I thought, well, they're all doing it brilliantly anyway. Why me? You know, they'd been completely killed all my joy off. What I did do, though, which is an important way of turning this around, is I took their influence. So I learned how James Jamerson played. I learned his swing and his groove. It was beautiful. I learned John Paul Jones, who was also influenced by James Jamerson. And I learnt Paul McCartney's style, who's also influenced by James Jamerson. So it was all going back to the same place, a bit like our spirituality really. All goes back to the same place. And it became part of my armament rather than me being a clone of them. You could feel their influence from them in me, but I sounded like Peter Paul Parker as a bass player. Like John Paul Jones sounds like John Paul Jones. Paul McCartney sounds like Paul McCartney. Peter Paul Parker sounds like Peter Paul Parker. So I wasn't comparing myself to them. I learnt what they did, and then I shared it through my playing, my expressiveness. So I'm not comparing myself, otherwise I would have stopped dead in my tracks. I actually learnt from them and used that to progress myself. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but comparing them, killer of joy, killer of happiness. Don't compare yourself. And the 6th bad habit is your general bad habits. Maybe you've got bad diet. Maybe you drink fizzy drinks, bad habit. Maybe you get up late every day, bad habit. Maybe you don't exercise your body every day, bad habit. Maybe you don't exercise your mind every day, bad habit. All these bad habits need to be moved away from us so that we've got room to create good habits to master our mind. So if your cup's full already, Bruce Lee said this, if your cup's full already, how can you get any more information in there? Well, you can't. You have to empty those bad habits up, pour in the good habits, and therefore your mind will start to clear. You see what you want in your life, and you master your mind so that your mind, which is a brilliant tool but a lousy master, will start to move you in the direction you want you to go in your life. A lot of you are using that. You want you to go in your life. So yes, your mind mastery. So there's 6 daily habits to get rid of pride. I know everything syndrome. Judging people before you know them. Staying in your comfort zone. Comparisons. And every other bad habit you got in your daily life. Get rid of it for your mindset mastery. I deal with this in the Dream Method. It is an online course that I do. So if you want to go further with that, you can check the free webinar out. Absolutely free. Just click the link and you go through and you'll see the 5 steps of the Dream Method to see how your mind can improve through those 5 steps. Great webinar. Saying so myself, great course. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, be well, keep shining.